The moment I saw her standing outside the library that evening, shivering, shoulders heavy, eyes red as though carrying a world of storms, I knew something was wrong. Emma was the type of person who smiled even when she didn't have a reason to. So seeing her like that, it almost stole the breath from my lungs. "Hey," I called softly, stepping closer. "You okay?" She didn't answer. She didn't even look up. Instead, in a trembling voice that didn't sound like her at all, she whispered, "Can you give me a hug?" Not a question I expected. Not from someone who'd always kept her walls built so high no one dared climb them. But I didn't hesitate. I stepped forward, opened my arms, and murmured gently, "My arms have always been open for you." When she fell into me, it wasn't a simple hug, it was like she was collapsing, letting go of something heavy she'd been carrying alone for too long. I held her tighter. People walked past us, cars hummed on the street, winter air bit at our skin, but in that moment, none of it mattered. Only her. Only the way her fingers clutched the back of my jacket as though she feared letting go. After a long silence, she whispered, "I'm sorry. I didn't know who else to call." "You called the right person," I said. A truth she'd hidden too long. We walked inside the library to escape the cold. She sat down across from me, hands shaking slightly, the way someone trembles after running too far, too fast. "I wasn't crying because I'm sad," she said quietly. "I was crying because I was tired. Tired of pretending everything's fine. Tired of doing everything alone." I nodded. I knew that kind of tired. Then came the twist I didn't expect. "I almost walked away tonight," she whispered. "From everything, from myself." My stomach tightened. "Emma." She looked at me, finally, fully, and I saw a vulnerability so raw it made my heart ache. "I just needed someone to care," she said. "Someone to tell me I wasn't invisible." I reached across the table and took her hand. "You're not invisible. You matter more than you know." Her voice cracked. "I didn't think anyone would notice if I disappeared." "I would," I said. "Every day." A tear slid down her cheek, not from pain this time, but release. I realized then that the hug she'd asked for wasn't just comfort. It was a lifeline. The moment everything shifted. We talked for hours, about the job that drained her, the loneliness she'd been hiding, the constant feeling of falling behind in a world that never slowed down. At one point she laughed weakly. "I'm sorry. I didn't call you to dump all my problems." "Emma," I said gently, "sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone in. And I'm honored you chose me." Something softened in her eyes. A moment of realization. Not romantic. Not dramatic. Just human. Two hearts recognizing each other in a world that often feels too loud and too lonely. "Do you think people ever really heal?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. "But no one heals alone." A simple act of kindness that changed everything. Before she left, she hugged me again, this time not from desperation, but gratitude. "You saved me tonight," she whispered. "I didn't save you," I said. "You reached out." I just answered. She smiled for the first time that day, soft, real, warm enough to melt the cold around us. "I'm going to be okay," she said. "Not because life suddenly makes sense, but because I'm not alone anymore." "You never were," I reminded her. "You just forgot." We walked to her apartment together. When she turned to go inside, she looked back and said something I'll never forget. "Thank you for opening your arms. You helped me find the strength to open mine." Ending with a message for everyone. Sometimes, the smallest question, "Can you give me a hug?" comes from the deepest pain. And sometimes the simplest answer, "My arms have always been open for you," can change someone's world more than we realize. We don't always know who's fighting silent battles. We don't always see the storms people hide behind practiced smiles. But kindness. Kindness is a lighthouse. Even the softest light can guide someone back to shore. Be the person whose arms, whose words, whose presence, stay open. It might save someone someday, more than you'll ever know.